4 months after the wedding, Kemi woke up gasping one cold morning. She had been feeling sick the past couple of days, but now it seemed another crisis was on its way. Daniel, who was getting ready for work, immediately rushed her to the hospital. Kemi was lying on the bed looking weak in the hospital ward with Daniel sitting beside her and cheering her up when the doctor walked in with a test result in his hand. "Good day, Mr. and Mrs. Dan," he greeted cheerfully. "Good day, sir," the couple chorused. "We have some good news," the doctor announced after exchanging pleasantries. The couple looked up eagerly. "Madam is 2 months pregnant." Kemi and Daniel looked at each other, excitement written all over their faces. "Oh my good God, thank you," Kemi whispered. "Everything looks good at the moment," the doctor continued. "However, with her health condition, she will need close monitoring and less stress throughout this period." "Not a problem at all, doctor. Thank you so much," Daniel blurted before the doctor finished talking. Kemi's prayers were finally answered. It was an evening of celebration in the home of Kemi's parents when they heard the news. Kemi and Daniel could barely contain their joy as the months passed and Kemi's stomach protruded. Daniel showered her with gifts and constantly reminded her how much he loved her. "I can't wait to be a dad," he'd say, holding her gently, as if she were made of glass. They went shopping for baby items every month until the 6th month when everything took a spiral turn. Kemi had a terrible diarrhea that lasted for days. She was admitted in the hospital and kept under close observation. Over the weeks she became pale. Her eyes were as yellow as the color of her urine. Several blood transfusions were done to keep her stabilized. Kemi's mother had traveled down to take care of Kemi. She paced restlessly in the reception area of the hospital as she waited for Daniel's return from the doctor's office. "What did they say?" she asked in a shaky voice as soon as Daniel emerged from the office. "Kemi is too weak to have this child," Daniel said, pain written all over his face. "Scans are revealing that the baby is also weak. She has to deliver the baby to save both their lives." Kemi's mother broke down in tears. "God, this girl doesn't deserve all these problems. She has suffered enough," she cried. The doctor tried to convince Kemi to terminate the pregnancy, but Kemi refused. Even Daniel was terrified of losing her. "Kemi, please," he pleaded one night, holding her hand as they sat together on the bed. His eyes were filled with worry. "I love you. I need you. We can try again. Please, just listen to the doctors. They're saying you could die." Tears welled up in Kemi's eyes as she looked at him, but she shook her head firmly. "Daniel, I can't. I won't. I've waited my whole life for this. I'm going to carry this pregnancy. I believe that everything will be okay." Daniel's heart ached. He didn't want to argue with her, but the thought of losing her terrified him. "But, Kemi, what if it's not? I don't want to lose you." She took his hand and placed it gently on her growing belly. "I can't give up, Daniel. I won't. This is a miracle, and I'm going to fight for it, no matter what." Daniel knew that nothing he said would change her mind. "Okay," he whispered. "We'll fight together." Kemi remained in the hospital for 2 months under the close supervision of doctors. The days were long and stressful, but Kemi's faith never wavered. She endured every complication, every sleepless night, and every moment of fear with grace and determination. When the pregnancy was 32 weeks old, Kemi's health took a critical turn. The doctors were left with no choice but to perform an emergency operation to save her life. The atmosphere in the hospital was tense, everyone holding their breath, praying for a miracle. After hours in surgery, the baby was delivered, small and fragile. It was immediately kept in the neonatal unit, while Kemi battled to recover. Blood transfusions were done to help her recover for the blood she lost. 1 week later, the baby died despite the doctor's efforts. Kemi, weak and barely conscious, was confined to her bed. The news of the death of her baby shook her and threatened her existence. She mourned for weeks after she was discharged from the hospital. The next 4 years that followed were painful ones laced with miscarriages that left scars on different parts of her body. Kemi went through a series of tests in different hospitals trying to find a lasting solution to the miscarriages. After losing 4 pregnancies, Kemi was exhausted. That afternoon, she sat on the edge of her bed, her phone pressed to her ear as she spoke to her mother, her voice thick with frustration. "Mummy, I just don't understand. Why does everything for me have to be so difficult? I've been through enough already. Now, even having a baby is becoming impossible." Her mother's voice was calm on the other end. "My dear, you have to be patient. Remember, the doctor said it is possible, even if it's going to take a little time." "I know what they said, Mum," Kemi replied, tears welling up in her eyes. "But I'm tired. I feel like a failure." "Kemi, don't talk like that. The God that I serve is still up there. I've never stopped praying for you. Just as you were born, you will also give birth. Amen. Just that I've been on medication for months now, trying to boost my fertility, yet nothing. What if I never get pregnant? My God will not put us to shame, Kemi. Please always declare positive things upon yourself, dear. You'll testify soon, okay?" "Okay, Ma." Kemi replied, wiping the tears rolling down her cheeks. Kemi ended the call and set her phone down. That was when she noticed Daniel standing quietly in the doorway, his face full of concern. He had overheard the conversation. Without saying a word, he walked over to her, pulling her into his arms. She wept softly against his chest. "It's going to be okay, babe," Daniel whispered, stroking her hair gently. "We're in this together, no matter how long it takes." "I'm scared, Dan," she admitted, her voice muffled against his shirt. "What if it never happens? What if we can't have children?" Daniel pulled back slightly, cupping her face in his hands so he could look into her eyes. "Sweetheart, listen to me. I love you. With or without children, that will never change. I'm with you all the way, no matter what happens." She stared up at him, her heart swelling with gratitude. Even through her pain, his words brought her a sense of calm. "Thank you," she whispered. He kissed her forehead softly. "We'll keep trying, but just know that you're enough, Kemi. Just as you are." She nodded, leaning into his embrace again, feeling a weight lift slightly from her shoulders. Kemi decided to put the idea of having children in hold. One evening, as they sat together, Kemi looked up from her laptop. "I've been thinking," she said softly. "Maybe it's time I start writing about what I've been through, my health, everything. It could help me, process it all." Daniel nodded, watching her thoughtfully. "I think that's a great idea. Your story could inspire others." She smiled faintly. "It might also help me focus on something other than everything else we've been through." "Then do it," he encouraged, reaching over to squeeze her hand. "Write it all. Let it be something for you." Over the following months, Kemi buried herself in her work. Every day, she poured her experiences onto the pages of her book, capturing the struggles, the moments of hope, and the strength she discovered within herself. Writing became her sanctuary more than ever before, giving her a purpose that allowed her to finally let go, at least for a while, of the burdens she had carried for so long. 2 months later, as they sat down to dinner, she felt a sudden wave of nausea. Daniel looked at her with concern. "Kemi, are you okay?" he asked, watching her closely. She held her stomach. "Dan. I don't know." He stared at her, looking worried. "Do we go to the hospital?" She nodded slowly. "I haven't had any crises for so long." Daniel took her hands. "It might be something you ate. You don't have to be worried." They visited the hospital and the doctor confirmed Kemi was pregnant. It felt like a miracle. They didn't see that coming. The good news came with caution. "Madam Kemi, given your medical history, this pregnancy is high risk," the doctor said gently. "You're showing early signs of preeclampsia, so we'll need to monitor you very closely." I'm putting you on bed rest, effective immediately. Kemi looked over at Daniel, worry flickering in her eyes. Immediately? But. Daniel squeezed her hand. Don't worry, Kay. Everything will be all right. But it wasn't really all right. As the pregnancy progressed, it got tough, far tougher than Kemi had imagined. Complications seemed to come one after another. Kemi spent almost the entire pregnancy in the hospital. In her third trimester, Kemi fell into a major crisis. The pain was nothing like she had ever felt before. Despite a series of injections, the pain was sustained. When she came out of the crisis, she had developed swollen feet, hands and face. The doctor called it edema. Even though the doctor had advised her to not worry about anything so as to maintain her blood pressure, Kemi couldn't help it. I worry about Daniel, Kemi softly spoke up one evening in the hospital after the doctor had done his rounds and reminded her of a test that would be done the next day. Her mum was sitting beside her bed. The workload on his shoulder is already telling on him. He looks so drained and I feel terribly guilty for. Kemi, stop it. Did he complain to you? He doesn't have to, Mummy. He doesn't deserve this stress at all, her voice broke. I know, Kemi's mother cut in, you don't deserve these pains you're going through either. You didn't choose this path, remember? Even her mother was fighting back tears. She knew she had to put up a strong appearance for Kemi at this time. Mummy, you don't understand. I have stopped working since I knew about this pregnancy. Daniel now works twice, if not thrice as hard as worked before to pay these bills as they pile up. It's too much, Mummy. I'm so tired of all these. Ben Yuson. Stop all these kinds of talk, Kemi. I don't like it. You won't be tired at this point when this whole phase is almost over. It will all be a thing of the past in no time, dear. She gently ran her hand through Kemi's hair and gave her a painful smile as she looked into her face. You're the strongest woman I know, Kemi. Please, just hold on a bit for me, okay? You're almost there. Care omo me. Kemi's mum began to eulogize her with the family praise poetry. Kemi couldn't hold back tears. All you need to do right now is focus on steadying your BP for your sake and for the sake of the amazing damsel you are about to bring to life. She'd be lucky to have a mother like you. Thanks, Mummy. I'm grateful to have you. Funmi hugged her daughter as she wiped the tears that had been itching the corner of her eyes. Kemi's doctor monitored her day and night as her blood pressure spiked dangerously and her symptoms worsened. It felt like a marathon, each day blurring into the next as she fought for both her life and her baby's. Finally, after 8 exhausting months, Kemi gave birth to a tiny, beautiful baby girl weighing less than 1.5 kilograms. Kemi was discharged from the intensive care unit after 2 days. But the battle wasn't over. The baby had several health complications and the doctors kept her in the hospital for 5 more weeks to recover fully. The baby could barely breathe unassisted with oxygen. When she could finally breathe on her own, she was kept in an incubator. During those long weeks, her mother and mother-in-law took turns caring for Kemi and the baby. Daniel was by her side without fail, encouraging her. One day at a time, he would say, holding her hand. We've come this far. We'll get through this too. Finally, the baby was discharged and Kemi was finally able to hold her daughter. The baby was placed in her arms, Kemi's eyes welled with tears. She looked down at the little girl she had risked everything for, and the magnitude of the moment hit her all at once. Tears streamed down her face as she gently rocked her baby. You're here, she whispered. I finally get to hold you, my beautiful daughter, my miracle, Kemi whispered. Daniel kissed her forehead. She's here because of you, Kemi. You did it. Kemi held her baby close, feeling the warmth of her tiny body against her chest. It was a moment she had dreamed of for so long, but it was even more powerful than she had imagined. She had fought through pain, heartbreak, and near death to get here, but now, holding her child in her arms, it all felt worth it. 2 years after the birth of her daughter, Kemi's life had taken on a new sense of purpose. Kemi poured her experiences into writing. She wrote a comprehensive book detailing the nutritional values and health tips that helped her manage her condition over the years. It included the healthy lifestyle changes she had adopted and how they improved her quality of life. The book quickly became a bestseller, earning her recognition as an advocate for sickle cell awareness. People from all over began reaching out to her, thanking her for the invaluable knowledge and inspiration she had provided. With the support of her family, she founded a center dedicated to helping sickle cell carriers, providing a space where people like her could receive counseling, share their struggles, and form a community of support. Soon, she wrote yet another book, the powerful story about her own life, her battle with sickle cell, the heartbreak, and the triumphs. Her memoir was raw and emotional, detailing the pain, the loss, and the strength she found through it all. It resonated deeply with readers, not just those with sickle cell, but anyone who had faced adversity. The book earned a bestseller status, and Kemi's voice became an important part of the global conversation on sickle cell disease. Her daughter, now growing up healthy and intelligent, was the joy of her life. Every time Kemi looked at her, she was reminded of how far she had come and how much she had overcome. With her family by her side, Daniel, her parents, and her in-laws, there was nothing she couldn't achieve. Kemi often stood at the front of her center, looking at the faces of those she had brought together, feeling proud of what she had built. She had transformed her pain into a platform that brought healing, awareness, and empowerment to so many. And with her family's unwavering support, she knew that this was only the beginning of the many great things she was destined to accomplish. Did you enjoy this story about Kemi and her ordeal? What stood out for you in Kemi's story? Did you learn something? Please share your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to give us a like, subscribe to this channel and hit the notification bell so you get notified when the next video is out. Thank you for watching.